Hi guys and gals, and welcome to Etsy Digital Wiz. Today we're going to talk about getting more digital sales in your Etsy shop. I want to emphasize digital because while the suggestions I have apply to physical sales too, it's not necessarily as fast to create a new physical product as it is with a digital. So who am I? Well, I run a successful Etsy shop for more than 2 years now, and I have thousands of digital sales. I did not have instant success, and it took a while to both grow my shop and my sales, but I learned a lot along the way. This YouTube channel that I created is about sharing what I learned so that others can do the same. Now for the tips to get more sales. Step 1. Having a branded shop. It's very important to stand out in the search results, especially in digital sales where many listings can look very similar. By clearly branding your shop and your thumbnails, you'll achieve two things. Number 1, when potential customers search Etsy for a certain listing, your listing will look more established and therefore get a little extra attention from the customers who search for a specific thing. And number 2, you will be recognized by previous buyers who liked your products when they purchased them. Etsy users don't necessarily return to shops by default, although some do, but if they go search for an item, recognizing a brand from a previous purchase immediately makes you stand out. Number 2, great thumbnails. As I mentioned in the first tip, great thumbnails are very important. This is the first thing you see as a potential customer, and if the thumbnail doesn't catch your eye, you won't click it, and therefore you won't buy it. You want to both give customers a clear idea of what they're purchasing, as well as make it look professional. A tool like Canva will help even the more graphically challenged of us to come up with something that looks pretty professional. An Etsy thumbnail should be 2000 by 1600 pixels. While you can go with a white plain background, I actually recommend one with a little structure, like a wood panel or a granite background. Then add some text that clearly shows that this is a digital product, digital download at the bottom, for example. Then add a logo or something that relates to your profile. Save this as a template, then copy it to the next page. You will then be able to reuse this template for more listings later on. Now add your product. I've created a very simple pattern for us to use in this example. Now, for each element identified as important for your type of customer, add something that highlights this in the following thumbnails. In this example, cross-stitch users want to see thread counts and colors used, so I added a thumbnail showing those. Another important feature for cross-stitch patterns that I caught when checking out top sellers was printing options. Now, these are just examples, and possibly weak examples because cross-stitching is not my niche, but I think you get the idea. You need to identify your customers' needs and be clear about those in your thumbnails and descriptions. Finally, if you got some important things to highlight, for example, you might have a special coupon if your customer purchases more than one item, mention this in another thumbnail. A separate image to clarify that this is a digital item is another good use of the thumbnails. Step 3. Descriptions. While I just mentioned the importance of high-quality thumbnails, descriptions and product titles are equally important. That's how Etsy and Google finds your product. Make sure you capture as many quality keywords in your title as possible. Etsy's search algorithms want their customers to find products they're specifically looking for, and if you don't tell Etsy what you're selling using those words, they won't know how to show the listings to the customers who's searching. In my example with the smiley pattern, I would be clear in my title. I would say, Smiley, easy printable cross-stitch pattern PDF download. In my description, I would clearly describe my products with terms that I know a user might search for, like fun smiley cross-stitch pattern for beginners, can be printed or used with max stitch, win stitch, as well as pattern keeper. Size, 60 by 60 stitches. Dimensions, 5.5 by 5.5 inches or 13.9 by 13.9 centimeters, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into a deep dive of SEO, but you get the idea. Anything the customer might be searching for regarding a product such as yours needs to be captured in the description. Step number 4. Tags. Tags are also an integral part of being found when searched for. I guess we're doing more SEO than I planned. Tags are essentially keywords that are not shown in your listings like the description and the titles are, but are still used by Etsy's search algorithms. So using all 13 tags and using them smart means you get an extra opportunity to be found by customers using certain keywords. I recommend using a tool like Sales Samurai for your tag research. Find your competition and check what keywords they're using. So following our previous examples of cross-stitching, I search for a keyword that I'm interested in. like easy cross-stitch pattern. I check my variables. This is a pretty broad keyword, lots of competition, but it's an example. Now, for the spying part though, I scroll down to the bottom of the page to find the top listings. Down here I find a bunch of popular products where my keyword is being used. To see exactly which tags a certain listing has, I click the details column. And voila! I have a back-end view of this particular listing, along with all the 13 tags they used. Now I don't exactly suggest just steal these right off the bat, but at least half of them seem to be fairly generic. For the rest of the keywords that you need to use, you should try to focus in on who might be interested in your product and why, and determine a few keywords based on what they would be searching for. Step number 5. Staggered listings. This is the big difference between digital and physical products. With digital, you have a slight edge when it comes to production rate. You can and should try to create a bunch of listings early on, but instead of launching them all at once, which can be quite tempting, I know from experience, try to stagger the launches. Etsy loves new listings and will always give a boost to fresh ones. By essentially posting a new listing every day, as opposed to multiple at once, Etsy will keep your listings at the top for every day that you publish a new item, and therefore your shop will be visible every day, at the top of the search. I realize this might sound a little bit daunting, especially if you're new, but believe me, having multiple listings ready to go will eventually help your sales. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as it helps keep me motivated to making more videos.